The 16th and 17th centuries were a time of great change in England. It was a time of religious upheaval, political intrigue, and intellectual ferment. In the midst of all this change, English prose was finding its voice. The 16th century saw the reign of Henry VIII, the break with Rome, and the establishment of the Church of England. This period also witnessed the rise of humanism, a European intellectual movement that emphasized classical learning and human potential. It was a time of great intellectual excitement, and this was reflected in the literature of the day. One of the most important developments of the 16th century was the invention of the printing press. This new technology had a profound impact on the development of English prose. Before the printing press, books were rare and expensive. They were copied by hand, a laborious and time-consuming process. The printing press made it possible to produce books much more quickly and cheaply. This led to a dramatic increase in the number of books in circulation. The printing press also made it possible to reach a wider audience. With more books available, more people learned to read. This led to the development of a more literate culture. In the 16th century, English was still a relatively new language. It was only just beginning to emerge from the shadow of Latin, the language of scholarship and religion. However, the printing press helped to promote the use of English. Printers needed to publish books in the language that people spoke, and that language was English. As a result, more and more books were published in English. This, in turn, helped to standardize the English language. Before the printing press, there were many different dialects of English spoken throughout the country. The printing press helped to create a more uniform standard of written English. The Reformation had a profound impact on the development of English prose, shaping the very fabric of the language we use today. The Reformation was a religious movement that swept across Europe in the 16th century, challenging the established norms and doctrines of the time. It led to a significant break between the Catholic Church and the emerging Protestant churches, creating a new religious landscape. One of the most important figures in the Reformation was Martin Luther, a German monk whose actions and writings sparked widespread change. Luther believed that the Bible should be available to everyone in their own language, making it accessible to the common people. He translated the Bible into German, and his translation had a profound impact on the development of German prose, influencing literature and culture. The English Reformation also led to a growing demand for religious texts in English, as people sought to read and understand the scriptures for themselves. This demand led to the translation of the Bible into English, as well as the publication of other religious works, which played a crucial role in the evolution of English prose and literacy. The spread of these texts was facilitated by the advent of the printing press, which allowed for the mass production of books and the dissemination of ideas. As a result, the Reformation not only transformed religious practices, but also had a lasting impact on the written word, shaping the course of literary history. Section 5. The Elizabethan's Prose in the Age of Shakespeare. The Elizabethan era, spanning from 1558 to 1603, is often celebrated as a golden age for English literature, a period that saw the flourishing of both drama and prose. The Elizabethan era, from 1558 to 1603, was a golden age for English literature. This period was marked by a remarkable outpouring of literary works that have stood the test of time. This was the age of William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Edmund Spenser. These literary giants not only shaped the landscape of English drama, but also left an indelible mark on prose writing. While the Elizabethan era is best known for its drama, it also produced some important prose works. These prose works were instrumental in shaping the English language and literature. One of the most important Elizabethan prose writers was Sir Philip Sidney. Sidney's contributions to literature were multifaceted, and his works continue to be studied and admired. Sidney was a courtier, soldier, and poet. His life was a blend of military service, courtly duties, and literary pursuits, making him a quintessential Renaissance man. He is best known for his prose romance, Arcadia, which was a major influence on later writers. Arcadia is a pastoral romance that combines elements of adventure, love, and political intrigue. Another important Elizabethan prose writer was Richard Hooker. Hooker's works were deeply rooted in theological and philosophical thought. Hooker was a theologian who wrote Laws of Ecclesiastical Polity, a defense of the Church of England. This work is considered one of the foundational texts of Anglican theology. Hooker's work is still admired today for its clear prose and its thoughtful arguments. His ability to articulate complex theological ideas in an accessible manner has ensured his lasting legacy in English literature. Section 6. Francis Bacon, the father of modern science. Born in 1561, Bacon was a visionary whose ideas would shape the future of scientific inquiry. Francis Bacon was one of the most important prose writers of the 17th century. His works laid the foundation for modern scientific thought. Bacon was a philosopher, scientist, and statesman. His diverse roles allowed him to influence various fields, from politics to natural philosophy. He is best known for his work on the scientific method. Bacon's approach emphasized empirical evidence and systematic experimentation. Bacon believed that knowledge should be based on observation and experiment. He argued that theories must be tested and validated through practical means. He argued that scientists should collect data and then draw conclusions from that data. This method was revolutionary at the time and laid the groundwork for modern scientific practices. This was a radical departure from the traditional method of scientific inquiry, which was based on the authority of ancient texts. Bacon challenged the status quo, advocating for a new way of thinking. Bacon's ideas about the scientific method had a profound impact on the development of modern science. His insistence on empirical evidence and experimentation became the cornerstone of scientific progress. He's often called the father of modern science. His contributions extend beyond science, influencing literature and philosophy as well. Bacon was also a master of English prose. His ability to articulate complex ideas in clear and engaging language made his works accessible to a broader audience. His essays are still admired today for their clarity, wit, and wisdom. They continue to be studied and appreciated for their insightful observations on human nature and society. Section 7. John Donne. Sermons and the Search for Truth. John Donne was another important prose writer of the 17th century. Donne was a poet, preacher, and theologian. He is best known for his metaphysical poetry, which is characterized by its intellectual complexity and its use of elaborate metaphors. Donne was also a gifted preacher. His sermons are still admired today for their eloquence, their passion, and their insights into human nature. Donne's prose is often complex and challenging, however, it is also deeply rewarding. Donne was a master of language, and he used his mastery to explore the great questions of life and death, faith and doubt, love and loss. Section 8. The King James Bible, a masterpiece of English prose. The King James Bible is one of the most important prose works in the English language. It was published in 1611 and quickly became the standard English translation of the Bible. The King James Bible is a masterpiece of English prose. It's written in a beautiful and poetic style that has inspired writers for centuries. The King James Bible has had a profound impact on English literature and culture. Its language and imagery can be found in the works of countless writers, from William Shakespeare to T.S. Eliot. It is also one of the most quoted books in the English language. Section 9. Conclusion. A legacy of language. The 16th and 17th centuries were a time of great change and upheaval in England, but they were also a time of great creativity and innovation. This was especially true in the field of English prose. The prose writers of this era helped to shape the English language into the powerful and expressive tool that it is today. They gave us new ways of thinking about the world and ourselves. They also left us with a legacy of great literature that continues to inspire and challenge us today.